Hey, everybody. Dr. Osborne here with another special episode of Pick Dr. Osborne's Brain. Tonight is special because I've got a special guest, and we're going to be picking Dr. Ann Louise Gittleman's brain instead of mine. We're going to be talking about radical longevity, how to get the most out of the years of your life. And she's got a really great new book I've just finished up with, and I'm happy to and excited to have her on. We're going to bring her in here. Welcome, Dr. Ann Louise. Thank you so much for being on the show with me tonight.
Thank you, Dr. Peter Osborne. It's always a pleasure because you and I have the same brain.
Yes, same wavelength.
Same wavelength. We think the same way. So I'm so delighted to have this conversation.
Yes, me too. Definitely excited. So you've just finished. I know you've got so many books, and you're just a wealth of knowledge and information. And I love having you on. We've had you on several times, but radical longevity. Tell me what you mean by radical longevity. Kind of give me the 30-second elevator pitch on it.
The elevator pitch is that radical longevity is going to redefine aging, and it's all about extending your youth span, extending your health span. I don't want people extending the period of dying into the age of dependence and disability and loss of independence. So it's all about approaching aging with vitality, gusto, and grace.
I love that. So aging gracefully as opposed to dying miserably.
Basically, that's the great elevator pitch. Yes, indeed. And we all want that. We should be living till the age of 120, but in the best of health.
So I've heard many people say that the average person, spends the first half of their life destroying their health while accumulating wealth. And then they spend the second half of their life spending their accumulated wealth trying to recapture their health. Tell us a little bit about some of the concepts in your book and how we can stop that from becoming a reality for ourselves.
Well, we're looking at a paradigm pitch, and I think a paradigm switch, a paradigm change actually is what we're looking for. And the reality is that I think people have to honor aging. Aging is something to be honored, and aging is really a privilege. It's a privilege denied to many. So I bless it in that respect. I get up every day and I'm grateful. I'm grateful for the friends in my family, the love in my family. I'm grateful for the fact that I'm living and breathing another day. That's number one. Number two, I talk about the 7 rules of radical aging, where immunity is everything. You tackle toxins, you clean up your mind, you clean up your mouth, because a clean mouth is a clean body. Very, very important. Most people don't realize that. And we talk about the gut-brain connection, as well as moving your body so that your fascia don't get stuck and you don't get arthritis. So I approach the aging concerns that most of us have, but I do it in a very unique way with the vitamins, the minerals, the lifestyle tweaks, and the peptides that people can be taking from nanotechnology. So I give you everything A to Z, from the simplest tweaks that you can make to the most advanced wellness procedures.
So let's talk about peptides. This is a big question I get. I've been getting a lot more about, and I know the technology and peptides are somewhat a new thing, although not new. They are new to the average person. Can you talk a little bit about how peptides can be helpful and what you've experienced in using them with people?
Well, I used a series of peptides, the MedX for Life peptides that I talk about in Radical Longevity, that people can buy actually with me or online. And they're these regulatory proteins that are actually made in a nanotechnology manner so that they can be directed to really stimulate adult stem cells. They can be directed to your brain, directed to your heart, directed to your liver, directed to your kidneys, directed to your soft tissues. And by activating your adult stem cells, you can actually begin restoring your body. It's not just a matter of healing and getting well, but it's actually restoration. So I think it's super aging in a bottle, quite frankly.
So how is that different than, let's say, taking stem cells from your fat or taking stem cells spun out of your own blood? These peptides are different, right? They're not the same thing as stem cells, but they help immobilize and stimulate stem cell production.
Yes, they're a lot cheaper, Dr. O.
So that's the big one, right? A lot less expensive. I did stem cells for my knee one year. I injured my knee. I went a little too heavy one day. I was trying to compete with my 27-year-old son, and he's stronger than I am at this point. But I hurt my knee, and I did stem cells. And ultimately, what worked better even than stem cells was just rehab. But I didn't have access to peptides at the time. So what you're saying is peptides can help with that activation and lead to a faster recovery or an improvement in function.
What I have seen with my patients, clients, and followers is these activated stem cells, or these activated, they're actually called activators, stem cell activators, work with many, many people. I'd say it's 70 to 30% that it works with. 70% yes, 30% don't see anything. But I've had a gal that was able to regrow a valve on her heart rather than get a heart valve replacement. So I mean, it can be miraculous, to be quite honest with you. And I don't know what the criteria is, but it can be absolutely miraculous. And it's worth a try because they're relatively inexpensive.
And these are over the counter, not prescription, so people can access them, or are they prescription?
They're not prescription. They're over the counter. I give you the website. You can become a distributor in your own right if you'd like. And this was taken from the research that I gleaned from a group of doctors in Russia for many, many years. It's been on the market for 15 years. Nanotechnology, completely bioavailable to the system. And sometimes people start to detoxify and feel rather nauseous and a little toxic. I can only take 1 drop where some people can take 20. So you have to really customize it to your own individual biochemistry.
Okay. So folks, I'm talking with Dr. Ann Louise Gittleman, and we're talking about how to extend the years of your life in a quality fashion. Her new book, Radical Longevity, just coming out. I encourage you to go check it out if you're trying to improve your quality of life as you live into your older years. And if you've got questions for Dr. Gittleman, as always, get those in early. We'll do our best to get through and answer as many of those questions, toward the end of the show today. But before we get to those questions, I'd like to, ask some more of my own questions. So
please.
Yeah. So you're talking in your book a little bit about household items creating accelerated aging. What household items should people be really on the lookout for or cautious of?
Aluminum foil, number 1, cast iron pots and pans, number 2, and I would say copper pipes where they're getting their water supply, number 3. And these are the aging triggers that are hiding in the privacy of their own kitchen.
So say that one more time. You said aluminum, cast iron, and what else?
Copper pipes.
Copper pipes. And so let's talk about the copper pipes, because a lot of people have copper piping in their home. What if Mrs. Jones has copper piping in her home? What does she do? Does she filter her water? How does she negate it?
She gets a home water filtration unit, like a reverse osmosis, immediately. Because the new research that I uncovered in here, Dr. Peter Osborne, was absolutely jaw-dropping. I was contacted by a researcher at the University of Michigan who feels that Alzheimer's is actually caused by copper that's in the water or copper that's in your vitamins and minerals. He calls it divalent copper, which goes directly to the brain. So it stockpiles copper. We got to get rid of the copper, and then you'll reverse, and you'll certainly diminish your susceptibility to Alzheimer's and other forms of dementia.
What about cast iron? One of our guests asking about why cast iron. It's actually one of the most popular health cookwares. Is there particular types of cast iron to be more concerned about, or is it all cast iron? What's your take there?
The only kind I would use would be enamel covered cast iron. Cast iron can be absorbed. Iron can be absorbed into the foods from the cast iron, and that is now being connected to Alzheimer's as well.
So oxidative minerals like copper and iron in too high of a quantity can be problematic.
They're double-edged swords. So you got to get a ferritin test every year to see what your stored iron is. That's number 1. If it's above 70 Ng/ml, then you've got to start donating blood once or twice a year.
So ferritin being the test that they can ask their doctor to run. If it's over 70 nanograms per milliliter, then you're recommending that they give their blood or donate some blood to get that level lower than that?
Yes, it's the best, because all the super agers, all the people in the blue zones have very low iron levels. If you take a look at the people in the Mediterranean countries, they have tremendously low iron. Stockpiling iron and copper is one of the ways that we get sick, because these are stockpiled in the brain and contribute to the neurofibrillary tangles and the beta amyloid plaque. And that's very well documented in the book with all my double-blind studies.
Yeah, so definitely. I mean, I've tested people for years. We measure ferritin as a regular, standard of care, and so that's something that I look at on a frequent basis. But what you're saying is, I'm interested particularly about the 70. Getting it below 70 is what you're recommending.
The sweet spot is 50 to 70. There's some women, of course, that are still menstruating and have very low ferritin, so we don't want to get too low. But the 50 to 70 is what you want to hit if you want to ward off Alzheimer's and preserve your precious memories.
Gotcha. So that makes sense. So aluminum foil, aluminum tin cans, aluminum. If it's in aluminum, you shouldn't cook with it. Is that what I hear you saying?
You shouldn't be using it to cover your food. Use parchment paper, then aluminum. Yes, because aluminum has also been found to be in those neurofibrillary tangles in Alzheimer's and other dementia victims. So we want to get rid of the aluminum. I talk about the research of Mr. Aluminum, Christopher Exley, in the book, who's written 150 well-documented papers about how toxic aluminum can be in the brain particularly. So we want to get rid of that and just make tweaks. It's very simple. Just use wax paper, just use parchment paper instead of the aluminum foil.
Gotcha.
These are easy. These are no-brainers.
Simple changes. And you mentioned cast iron with a ceramic coating. That's what I use. I use a brand called La Creuset, which is a French company. I don't like buying from China because they cheat. They put toxic compounds in their metal, and we keep catching them doing it, but we keep allowing it into the country.
Unfortunately, but they all cheat.
Yeah.
So I've been dealing with La Creuset for years. I'm going to get stainless steel made here in the good old USA. I'm going to get some Salad Master stainless steel where the food is cooked lower than 180 degrees to preserve all the enzymes, and cooks in a convention. It cooks like in a little vacuum. So that's the healthiest way to cook. Cook food in its own juice, so you're not broiling, roasting, grilling, or frying.
So cook food in its own juices is your advice. Cook it in its own.
Yeah, you don't want a lot of oil. You don't want a lot of anything that can oxidize. It's all about oxidative stress and lowering the toxic load, as you and I both know. And this is simple too, and the food will taste better, for heaven's sakes.
So Gene asking about thoughts on chelation. We're talking about oxidative metals. What are your thoughts on using like chelation, IV or oral chelation for that?
I'm a big favor of both, provided that you reinstate your minerals. You've got to get extra zinc, extra selenium, extra chromium, and extra potassium. So as long as you're chelating out the minerals, you don't want to chelate all the good macro minerals as well.
This is like an antibiotic. If you have to take one, it's not selective. Same thing with a chelator. It's not selective for the bad guys. It can pull the good guys too.
So you probably need an electrolyte formula, and do it under the guidance of somebody like a Dr. Peter Osborne.
Yeah, exactly. Do it under the good guidance.
No, yeah. Seriously.
I know. I hear you. So many people try to do it.
No, because they don't know what they're doing. You know, how many years have you been in practice, for heaven's sakes?
Yeah, over 20. Yeah.
Over 20. Well, you've got the wisdom of somebody that's been in practice 40 years. So the point is, you want a watchful eye is what the reality is. Don't do it. None of the do-it-yourself techniques.
Absolutely. I agree with that. Do it yourself only if you're healthy and you're not playing with things that could make you unhealthy.
And I want to say something too in that regard. I see a lot of people that get their mercury fillings removed. You have to go to a very qualified biological dentist that knows what the heck he's doing when he starts removing the mercury, because you should be having IVs of vitamin C when he's doing that in a mercury dam. Agreed.
Definitely. You got to do it right to protect yourself. And that, if you get those of you listening that are looking for a biological dentist, IAOMT.org. is a great organization that trains dentists to understand how to do it right. And you can find dentists there.
I love that organization. It's my favorite.
Great organization.
I'm so glad you remembered the organization itself. My original dentist was Hal Huggins.
Okay.
Mercury-free dentist par excellence.
Yeah, my favorite dentist retired last year. William Glaros, he's out here in the Houston area. He's been in practice, but he finally hung it up, and so he's got a new younger guy in there now.
I know that. I miss Dr. Glaros, and I loved him too.
Yeah, great dentist. I wanted to ask you about Wi-Fi, because you mentioned Wi-Fi in the book as well, and I know lots of people, like, we go around every day surrounded by Wi-Fi. I mean, people are on their cell phones, their tablets, their computers. You know, they go into the coffee shop, there's Wi-Fi. Like, talk to me about Wi-Fi. What is it that people need to be concerned about or aware of?
They need to protect themselves with shields. That's why I like this shungite that I'm wearing around my neck. Very protective of your own biofield. And I think the most important thing is that you really de-stress and de-electrify yourself at night, so that you're not exposed to a bathing of Wi-Fi during your sleeping and restoration period. So if you can shut it off at night, unplug the router or some way disable it. I think that's very important, and you don't want any electronics in the bedroom.
No electronics, so no TVs, no computers, nothing like that.
No, not in the bedroom. And you want to, if you can, shut off the breaker so that there's no electricity in the bedroom. You'll have the best night's sleep ever. I also sleep with a grounding wristband, by the way, from earthing.com.
Yeah, grounding. Some people buy grounding sheets as well. I do this. I don't know if you have one of these, but it's my EMF reader, and it reads electromagnetic frequencies, radio frequencies, and Wi-Fi fields. And so I actually, before I set up my bedroom, I actually tested the different zones where my head would sleep, where my body was lying, to make sure that I wasn't in some type of electro field hotspot. And I found several hotspots throughout my home, where, like, one of the hotspots was where I had my chair where I would sit down and have morning time, right? So I was sitting in a field until I actually measured it. I found that to be very helpful.
Well, we've measured my whole house, and the highest field is where I put my head down at night. So I had to figure out, because there's a tower not too far from my home. So I had to figure out how to block that from coming in. So we painted the room with a carbon blocking black paint, and then painted the color over it that it is. It's kind of a salmon color. And I have these Wi-Fi blocking curtains as well. But grounding myself is the best bet known to man. And I found out from Clint Ober, who's the father of modern day earthing and grounding, is that having a wristband provides the best ground, better than the sheets.
Interesting.
And it's less expensive. It's much less expensive.
So wristbands over sheets.
There you go.
But outside over wristbands, right?
If you can. I live in northern Idaho. I don't always have the luxury of being able to put my feet in the bare earth. When I do, though, I love it.
Yeah, for sure. Summer months, right? I bet are you guys warm yet?
We're getting there slowly.
Good. Okay. Next question I got for you, one I was interested in, is the forbidden food that makes your skin, joints, eyes, arteries, and brain feel years younger. I'm interested in that because it grabs my attention. What is that forbidden food?
It's the omega-6s. Do you remember when I talked to you months ago about hemp seed oil?
I remember that.
Hemp hooray, that's the mantra, hemp hooray. Well, we find that it also blocks radiation, apropos to our previous discussion, and it's very, very healing for the mucous membranes of the skin. So 1 to 2 tablespoons a day makes eczema and psoriasis go away. It's absolutely magnificent for that. And it's also good for infant cradle cap, good as a moisturizer, and it's good for the joints, good for the brain, good for the heart. It's good for anything that ails you, whereby you're finding that there's a lot of oxidative stress. It's very, very helpful and very deficient. Most people are deficient in GLA. It's a high source of gamma-linolenic acid.
So is that you're recommending hemp oil as omega-6, but not necessarily other forms of omega-6?
Exactly, because not all omega-6 is created equal. See, only you get that, Dr. Peter Osborne. The rest of the world just demonizes omega-6 and they leave out the good GLA.
Yeah, GLA critical aspect. Borage oil, another good source.
Black currant seed oil, evening primrose oil. You got it. So I'm in love with GLA.
Okay, and you like hemp. Is there a particular brand of hemp you prefer?
Nutiva. It's organic hemp seed oil.
Okay, I knew that was
minus the THC.
Okay, absolutely minus THC. Do you ever use? Are you a big fan of cannabinoids? Just like using, the cannabinoid, heavier doses of cannabinoids for people?
I find that it works like a miracle with some people, and other people it doesn't. I'm not sure why, but I think it's very good for any neuroprotective issues.
Yeah, I find the same thing. It either works really well or it doesn't work at all.
It's really funny how that is. We're so biologically unique. I mean, we're not created equal when it comes to our biology.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Let's see here. So I'm just looking at this list of questions I wrote out that I wanted to ask you, looking at which ones are more, pertaining to our conversation here.
They're all pertaining to health and well-being.
Yeah,
it's what you're about.
So, talk to me about how me search turned into the research.
Well, I'm 70 years young, so of course I'm interested in my mortality and enlightened self-interest. So everything that I talk about, from the heart to the brain to the hormones to the bones. to the skin, to the hair and the nails. I mean, I have personal interest in, and that's why I did a lot of my research. So if I find something that works for me, I want to share it with everyone else in the world.
Absolutely. So you're at an age where you have an advantage of not just talking about it, but actually living through it. And I think that's important. It's part of the reason why I still practice. So many people, stop practicing. And I think there's a loss of edge when that happens.
Well, my teacher was 84 when I first met her. She died at 106. So my whole vision of aging and my model of aging is a little different than most people's. I believe you still have to get up, have a place to go, and then put your head down at night and get up again in the morning. So so aging is not aging to me. It's saging. We should be talking about saging, not aging.
I love that. Saging, not aging. I was talking to an insurance agent, and we had a conversation about death rates. And the average male dying at 78, and the average female dying, I think it was 82, according to the actuarial tables. But it's interesting the way the conversation turned, because he brought up the fact that insurance salespeople die earlier. They actually die according to the actuarial tables, because that's what they're outselling their insurance by, is the average life expectancy. So they create a self-limiting belief in their own mind.
Oh my gosh, that is incredibly interesting, and how sad that is. So it's all about having a miracle mindset, for heaven's sakes. And these people that are super agers have a miracle mindset, by the way. They overcome, they don't just succumb.
Yeah, absolutely. You're not just drolling through and living through the punishment of life. You're enjoying every step and every breath. And I think that's a super important notion for really healthy aging.
And to have a lot of physical contact and emotional contact with one another, whether that's virtual, whether that's in person, that's important. Daily exercise is important. Sometimes restricting calories can be important, and intermittent fast once in a while important. And I also think it's important to have daily work so that you have a meaningful occupation or volunteering.
Yeah, one of my favorite books is Purpose Driven Life. And just about having a reason to get up and function and do in the day, right? So many people retire to die.
I know. My father's idea of retirement was 3 jobs instead of 4. So I have another good role model.
Yeah, I know. I don't ever plan on retiring. My wife says, you'll never retire. You love what you do too much. And I agree with her.
I feel the same way, Dr. P.
So you mentioned a lot of things in that just, you said physical touch, right? Love, connection, human connection, very important.
Very important. I talk a lot about it in the book. I mean, people can die of heartbreak just the way they can die of a heart attack. So all that is so important. And also to really deal with the hidden emotions that could be stuck in your tissues. They used to say the issues are in your tissues. And I think that people have to really search hard for any of the childhood trauma that could be holding them back, and do whatever it takes to kind of neutralize that traumatic experience.
So when you're saying, issues in the tissues, things like massage, things like yoga, things like physical activity, things like chiropractic, is that
yes.
fair?
Yes. Any kind of motion. I think the physical motion and the physical exercise and the touching is so important to kind of get all these things to the surface. I think it's more important to do it from the outside in than inside out. It's much more effective.
So that's interesting, because nutrients are outside in and physical touch is inside out. Is that what you're saying?
That's what I feel. That's what I write about in the book. Yes, indeed. Okay.
You also mentioned sleep. You mentioned as being super important. What's your take on sleep? Time frame. When should people hit their heads hit the pillow? I
really think you get the best quality sleep before midnight. So anytime before midnight, I think they should hit the pillow by 10 p.m., quite frankly, get up at about 6.
Okay. So solid 8 hours between 10, no later than 10, and sleep at least until 6. That's pretty fair?
I think that's pretty fair. And if you get up in the middle of the night, you go right back to sleep if you can. And if you're grounded, that will ensure that you do sleep well. Yeah. So grounding, again, you mentioned, talk to me about grounding, because I know that's one of the questions a lot of people may be thinking about. What is grounding? What does that actually accomplish? That sounds kind of like, I know I've heard somebody say this exact words. That sounds kind of like witchcraft. What is the science? There's incredible science. I wrote about it in a book 10 years ago called Zap that you and I have discussed, I think. The idea is that the Earth is teeming with all of these electrons, and the electrons neutralize all kinds of oxidative stress. So the more that you're in touch with Mother Nature and have your bare feet on the earth, the more that you get these electrons in the system, and they act as major antioxidants, and they're free for the taking. So you'll feel much better. You'll be much more calm and have much higher REM sleep if you ground before you go to bed. It's really one of the secrets of good sleep that I've really used myself over the past 20 years.
Yeah, absolutely. So Jean is asking what type of grounding bracelet that you recommend. You mentioned the bracelet.
It's a grounding wristband. It's actually a wristband, and you hook it into the electrical socket, the electrical ground on the wall. It's very simplistic.
And is there a brand that you recommend, or?
Go to earthing.com.
Earthing.com. Okay, there you go, Jean. Earthing.com, and look up. You said it was a wristband, so grounding wristband.
Yeah, and if you're not feeling good, if you've got any kind of inflammation, it tamps down inflammation. You can actually get little diodes to kind of hook yourself into as well to get rid of the inflammation. It's a wonderful secret of healing and health. I think it's one of the biggest secrets that I've uncovered, again, in the past 20 years.
Well, I know energy medicine, even in mainstream medicine, has a place. I mean, we use magnetic resonance to capture computer images and CT scans, and the energy medicine's no mystery. Lasers are used. A lot of chiropractors are using cold level lasers and other things to change the frequency of the light that cells emit that help them kind of get back on a faster healing track. So to me,
sure. And this red light healing is now taking off. It's all part of the energy spectrum. These are healing energies, frequencies that we all should be aware of. But the easiest way to hook into that is to put your feet on the ground or do some sort of grounding or earthing.
I love that because that's free. Right?
It's free for the taking, and so restorative. You should see people's color returned when they're grounded for at least 20 minutes.
Well, I can tell you from my own personal experience, like right now, all the flowers are in bloom and I'm out in the country. So, you walk outside and it's a plethora of essential oil aromas that are just, permeating through your nasal pharynx, and just it just hits you like a bomb, and it's so relaxing, and it's different than wintertime when the plants are all dormant. Like there's actually an energy that you can sense and feel as the trees are blooming, the flowers are blooming, and the pollen is, some people are pollen allergic, but if you're not, it's a great time to be outside.
Very refreshing and very restorative. And you can actually buy those essential oils and put them in vaporizers and humidifiers at night.
I know the Japanese have what they call forest bathing, right?
Yes.
Where you actually go out and you hear the sounds and you smell the aromas of what Mother Nature has in store and has put together.
It kind of feeds your soul. So I think all that is so important. And we're missing that. We're missing that connection with Mother Earth. That's the vitamin G I'm talking about.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Eileen asking, how do you do the sleep if you work until 10 p.m.? So she's a shift worker. What advice do you have for shift workers?
So she unwinds as best she can. She takes a little salt or baking soda before she goes to bed, which will reduce the acidity that's been built up during the day because her cycles may be a little off, and then gets to bed as soon as she can. Okay. With a grounding wristband, Eileen. Get the grounding wristband.
Okay.
One of the things that I find that's so important, Dr. Osborne, is that people become very acidic when they're very hyped up, if they're exposed to a lot of artificial light, if their synchronicity is a little out of whack, and taking a little salt or baking soda before they go to bed really shuts down the acidity and calms the mind and soothes the spirit.
Is that something you see work well? I'm hearing the questions come in, restless legs, tight muscles, those types of things, relaxing the body.
Sodium. We're very deficient in sodium. I like the Himalaya sodium, a quarter teaspoon a couple of times a day and before you go to bed. Yes, indeed. It will relax the muscles, as well as, of course, magnesium at 5 milligrams per pound of body weight.
5 milligrams per pound. So write that down, folks. 5 milligrams per pound. That's a big question we get, is how much to take.
That will restore your reserves, which are very easily drained in today's very toxic environment. And listen, a lot of people are in fear mode because of all the pandemic stuff that's going around now. So people are really on high gear. We're really a little out of whack. So we need more magnesium now than ever. We need a chill pill, Dr. O.
Yeah, I think you're right. We need a chill pill. I know everybody's had their struggles during this thing. And I'm not immune to those struggles either. I've been pretty amped up through this. What do you suggest moving forward as this pandemic continues to kind of progress out? You mentioned human touch as being so important earlier, and I couldn't agree more. I think human touch is so healing and so vital. What do you suggest with people? People right now are so scared to be with their friends and to be with their family members.
I know, and I'm not sure how I can break through that, because depending upon where you get your news source, it'll really take over your mind and your thoughts and your viewpoint. So I would say to be in touch virtually if you can't be in touch in person. That'd be number one. But make sure that you supplement daily with enough vitamin D, enough zinc, quercetin, and vitamin C. You want to ensure that the best vaccine is your immune system.
Amen to that. There's no better immune system or no better vaccine than you.
And you got to make yourself an invincible fortress. And that's what I write about in the book. My first rule is immunity is everything. And I teach you what vitamins, minerals, and hormones you need in what amounts that you really need on a daily basis, because today it's the coronavirus. Tomorrow it may be another variant. So you want to make yourself immune. You want to grow a stronger back, because there'll be a lot more toxic load that we're going to have to carry.
No doubt about it. And I mean, this is just a new virus in a long of viruses that the humans have faced and beaten, time and time again over our history. So
we can overcome everything. The idea is not to succumb, but to overcome. Life is tough, but we're tougher.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So let's see here. I've got a question coming in. So Laura's asking about natural grounding. She understands natural grounding, but questions that grounding with a bracelet in a wall, how is that natural? Maybe not the right question. How is that natural? Maybe more specifically, how is that working similar to grounding outside?
Because the neutral ground in the electrical system works very similarly, and many of us can't get outside because we're in a very different climate. So it works wonderfully well, and we're able to measure that actually with a voltmeter.
Okay, and what you're saying is absolutely right, and what you're saying has been super well researched. I mean, I know the doctor who used to be in charge of Lance Armstrong's, his team.
Oh, who is that? Jeffrey
Spencer, and he brought grounding.
Yes. He's a friend of Clint Ober's.
Yeah, he brought grounding to Lance's team, and their team always had better longevity. They always had greater longevity, and that was one of their secrets. Is every night they would ground the team. That was the rule within their team. That's why they had such good rest and restorative, rest after those long rides.
And a lot of times it was in the electrical ground. So tell your that lovely lady
that's what I'm referring to.
They were in hotels.
Technology. Yeah.
Yes. So this is good technology, healing EMF, so to speak.
Absolutely. And Ann Louise, when is your book ready? When is it out already? I have a copy, but I always get the advanced copies. So your book's coming out in May, right?
May 11th. I think it's about a month from now. But people, if they go to radicallongevity.book.com, we give them 3 downloads to talk about the hidden infections in the teeth, the chronological versus biological aging, and 10 life-saving do-it-yourself tests to assess nutritional stability. So we're going to give a lot of little free gifts away if they pre-order the book, which is all about what we want to do these days, pre-order the book. And then the publisher gets excited, and they help us get the healing message out to more and more people.
That's right. #, save 100 million lives. That's what we're all about right here.
That is what we're all about. That's why we're on the same wavelength.
Absolutely. So it's radicallongevitybook.com.
Yes, indeed.
Okay. So folks, you're listening to Dr. Osborne and Dr. Ann Louise Gittleman. And if you've got questions, pump those in. We're going to wrap up here shortly, but really want to encourage you to go out and pick up her book and support her mission. She's been a great influence in my life. And so as I've been a great influence in most of your lives, I would appreciate you supporting her because she supported me through so much. So really appreciate that support. Plus you'll get a ton of knowledge from it. You'll get a ton of really great information. We got Patty asking about Hashimoto's. She said, I heard if you have Hashi's, you can't donate blood. Is that true?
I don't know. That may very well be true because it's an autoimmune issue. So we got to cure your Hashimoto's. What about your fillings? What about your cavitations, Patty? What's going on in your mouth?
So Christy's asking about dental implants. Let's see here.
Dental implant, that's an excellent
versus dental implants versus root canals. What's your opinion?
Root canals are often infected. As a matter of fact, they're all infected. It just depends upon what your immune system is doing with the infection and all those oxidative bacteria. So I would suggest that you would look into implants, and I would look into zirconia implants without the titanium. They're 100% zirconia now, and that's just been developed in the past couple of years. It's what I'm waiting for, zirconia implant.
And that's because of the charge, right? That's because you don't want an antenna in your mouth.
You want zero metals in your mouth, but they used to have zirconia that had a titanium screw. So now there's no titanium screws. It's all zirconia.
Okay. Let's see here. So back to that blood question on Hashi's. I think you can donate your blood. They may not take it or give it to somebody, but you can still have your blood drawn if your ferritin levels are too high, or if you have hemochromatosis and you're trying to get your iron under better control.
Yes, and that's really what the key is. And there are a lot of doctors that will just take the blood and just throw it away so that you don't contaminate anybody. But if you've got Hashi's, you got something going on. There's an infectious agent, and we have to track that down. It could be an infectious agent that's a viral agent. It could be a parasitic agent. It could be a toxic metal agent that's in your mouth, or even a bacterial agent. So looking at your mouth is so important, because your mouth is close to your thyroid. It's close to your brain. You got to get a dentist from that particular organization that you mentioned to kind of look at your mouth, take a 3D cone x-ray, and figure out what's going on underneath the gums.
Yeah, underneath those, if you've got root canals, definitely get a cone beam vision. That way you can see if there's an actual infection, because some of the root canals need to come out. And that's where a lot of people struggle with the issues, because the teeth have connections to your organs, and a good biological dentist can help demonstrate that to you through the proper type of testing. And that's IAOMT.org is where you go to look for a good, solid biological dentist.
And I see a lot of MS clear up when the mercury fillings are removed.
So Rachel's asking about grounding. Would grounding with a bracelet be good for issues like epilepsy? Should they be worn while sleeping or all day as well? So she's kind of asking about whether it's helpful for epilepsy and the timing of wearing the bracelet or the wristband.
I would wear it 24 hours a day if I could. I only have the ability to wear it at night, but I would wear it as much as possible. And yes, it's good for issues involving the brain and the heart, which are electrical organs.
Okay. Christy's asking, she says no metals in the mouth, but what about if you have a back fusion and have a titanium rod in your back?
Well, then we do whatever we can to kind of diffuse the titanium. That's where you need to take binders to get rid of heavy metals. Not everybody is sensitive to titanium, Christy. You need to take a biological test, a bioactive test that's given by, years ago, I think they used to get, Thomas Levy used to go do one in the Clifford labs to see if you're actually responding negatively to the titanium. Not everybody is allergic to it. I happen to be one of them, and not everybody is.
Yeah, so that on that note, you can do testing to see whether or not, one, you're allergic to it, and two, whether or not your immune system is reacting to it.
Yeah.
And if your immune system is reacting to it, then what you should do is make sure that your diet is super clean so that you reduce the stress that food can create on your immune system so that you don't get into an overwhelmed situation. And then in addition to that, you can also test titanium toxicity. So if you're worried about that metal potentially leaching into you, you can get that type of testing done and see whether or not chelation or something like that might be a right move for you to make.
But what I tell everybody that has any kind of metal implants in their teeth, in their back, and any other area of their system is to take high doses of vitamin C. I find that 20 grams a day keeps heavy metals at bay. 20 grams, and that's not an easy task. But it's absolutely essential, especially if you've been taking a lot of CAT scans or major x-rays.
Yeah. Dr. Jaffe, Russell Jaffe. He's a mentor of mine.
Adore him. Adore that guy.
And he turned me on to early on in my career, he turned me on to the chelating powers of vitamin C, how vitamin C could actually pull toxic metals from the body as a chelator as well.
Especially, and it was used in the 1930s to neutralize polio, to actually cure polio, dare we say, by Dr. Klenner.
Dare we say, right? Especially in these times. Especially
in these days. We live in interesting times in the censorship era.
We do. Very much, very, very dangerous, very concerning.
Very disconcerting and very insidious.
So Julie wants to know, she said, if you have root canals and can't afford a biological dentist, what would you recommend instead?
I'd recommend daily vitamin C to the tune of 20 grams a day, Julie, and I'd recommend daily charcoal. It's probably the least expensive way to get rid of the toxins.
So vitamin C, high dose vitamin C, 20 grams, or to bowel tolerance, because if you hit bowel tolerance at 10, you don't want to keep taking it. It'll dehydrate you.
Just to go to show you, I had mercury fillings removed about 40 years ago, and my mercury is still sky high. I can tolerate 20 grams like that. No issues whatsoever. So I'm still mercury toxic after 40 years because my mercury fillings were taken out inappropriately.
Oh my, yeah, that's not good.
But it's never too late to start. It's never too early to begin.
Amen to that too.
Amen is right.
Faith says, I have an extreme sensitivity to nickel. Would you know why? Is there a potential reason as to why she might have that?
I've had clients that have had an extreme sensitivity to nickel. Has she ever had nickel braces that may have had a nickel plating?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. We can answer the question that fast. Nickel plating or nickel exposure, DiCAD batteries, nickel batteries. Some people, that stuff leaches into the water. So sometimes we get exposure through air and water.
And there's certain procedures with when women want to get pregnant that involve nickel as well. I don't want to get too personal with that, but I had a client that was very highly nickel sensitive, and we found out it was because of what her mother did years ago to get pregnant, and it involved some sort of nickel, a nickel compound. So there's something somewhere along the line. And I don't know if it's important to figure out where it's coming from. We have to just neutralize it. And that's where selenium comes into play, 200 mcgs a day, and that's where high vitamin C will be her best friend.
Yeah, absolutely.
See, it's not the toxins that bother me. It's your inability to excrete them that's the issue.
Right, because our bodies are nothing but, we're moving filters, right? We move through the world filtering out garbage, hanging on to good stuff, and using the good stuff to heal, repair, and maintain our bodies, and pooping, peeing, and breathing, and sweating out the bad. And it's when those pathways are broken that we end up in trouble.
Somebody once told me that we need 3 livers, not 1 in this day and age.
Yeah, I would believe that with the level of garbage we call food, right? If food alone could just be real, we would probably get by really well with just 1.
Vibrantly well, and live a radical longevity, healthy life until 120.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's see here. I had a crazy jaw pain for 8 years, did not do well with titanium implant, now trying ceramic, root canal, etc., sinus perforation, mercury fillings mostly taken out inappropriately. What C do you take?
Vitality C. It is the best C on the market. Vitality C was created by a cancer researcher. 1 scoop is 4 grams. I take 5 scoops a day, all at once. So you'll have to see what your bowel tolerance is, but it's the very best. It's a buffered C. It has a little bit of MSM in it and a little bit of D-ribose.
Let's see. Jenny, I have high levels of ochratoxin and other molds. I am using carboxybicellcore, but cannot get rid of candida. I don't know where there's a question in that, Gene, but if you've got chronic candida issue and you're in mold, the reason you can't get rid of candida is because your mold is suppressing your immune system. That's one of the things yeast do, is they produce mycotoxins that suppress immunity so they can continue to flourish. So if you're in a moldy environment, and that's where that ochratoxin is coming from, which usually it's aspergillus, penicillium or aspergillus create ochratoxin and suppress the immune system and create chronic candida infection.
You know what I do for that, Dr. O?
What's that?
I do a half a teaspoon twice a day, and I divide it just like that, 1/2 teaspoon twice a day of liposomal glutathione.
Glutathione.
Liposomal glutathione.
Gotcha.
And I'd be on a yeast-free diet, and I take a ton of Podarco tea, ton of it, 3 to 4 cups a day.
Okay, there you go, Jenny. Let's see. I think we got to the end. Dr. Ann Louise, this has been a great show. Thank you so much for coming on, and thank you for writing the book. Is there anywhere we can send people? I know radicallongevity.book.com. Let's get them there, and let's get them to support the book and support support you. But is there anything else, any last parting words?
Only that aging, and I'll just circle back to what we said at the beginning, aging is a privilege denied to many, so bless it. And you and I should live till 120 along with your lovely constituents.
That's the goal. Actually, my goal is 146. That's the age I program my brain to at least not shortcut me or shortchange me.
Well, see you at the other side of 100 in any case.
I hope so. God willing.
God willing.
Well, thank you again for being on with me. I really do appreciate you. I always enjoy having a conversation with you. It's been wonderful.
Wonderful for me too. You're a doll. You're a blessing. Be well. Stay well.
Thank you. You too. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. All right, folks, there you have it. Dr. Ann Louise Gittleman. Make sure you go over and visit her website, radicallongevitybook.com. Pick up a copy of her book. It's a great book. I've got my own copy here, and a lot of great pearls in it that I think you could glean valuable information from to improve your health. Hey, look, thanks for tuning in to this impromptu session of Pick Dr. Osborne's Brain. Make sure you do your part. We bring you the information. Make sure you share it with somebody you know, share it with somebody you love. Together, we can help change the world and save the world. #save 100 million lives. We'll see you Monday night for another episode of Pick Dr. Osborne's Brain. Take care.